Welcome to Honoring My Kokoshnik, a podcast where I share the story of my roots, my journey, and the beautiful yet complex layers of my identity. My name is Alena, and in this first episode, we're diving into the basics: who I am and where I am from. The answers to these questions aren't as simple as they might seem. I was born in Russia in 1994, and just a few years later, my world shifted in the most profound way by becoming a part of a family, a culture, and a land far from the one where I started. But my story isn't just about being adopted. It's about bridging two worlds and honoring the heritage that shaped me. So sit back and let me take you on the first step of this journey. A journey that's not just mine, but one that many of us share in different ways. Because as I've learned over the years, honoring my Kokoshnik is more than just wearing it. It's about understanding what it means and how to carry that part of me into the world. So without further ado, welcome everyone to the very first episode of Honoring My Kokoshnik. This is it. This is the first episode, and I've been knowing what I wanted to talk about in this episode. It was just a matter of waiting, and I was like, okay, well, why am I waiting? People want to know this now, it seems like. Why am I putting it off? And so here it is. So as the intro said, this episode is going to be talking about who I am, my roots, where I was born. But I'm going to be going into more depth because I've got this right here, and it's all this paperwork about everything. So we're going to get into that soon. You guys know my name. It's Alena. My full name is Alena Sergeyevna Pryadko. And the way Russian names work is, so you have your first name, and then the middle name, which for me is Sergeyevna, comes from my father's name, Sergey. So because his name was Sergey and I was born female, it got changed to Sergeyevna, which I guess would mean daughter of Sergey. And if I were a boy, it would just remain... I don't know what it would be if I were a boy. I need to look into that. Let me ask ChatGPT. ChatGPT is like the best thing ever. What would my name be if my father's name were Sergey and my first name was Alena? Let's say my first name is Alex, and my last name is Pryadko. Let's see what it says in Russia. If I were a boy, my name would have been Sergeyevich, which makes me one. Okay, that's interesting. So my name would be Alena, if I were a boy. Alex Sergeyevich Pryadko. Interesting. And that's my full name that I was given at birth. And a lot of you are probably thinking, how do you know what your name was at birth? How did you find that out? Right here, these papers, right here. So let's go ahead and just dive into these, and then I'll just build on to what information I can give you. I'm just gonna read these. I don't know which one to start with, though. Okay, so we'll start with my birth certificate, right? So we're going to start with the paper that says birth certificate. It's translated into English, so it's not an official birth certificate. So it reads, birth certificate, Pryadko Alena Sergeyevna. And in Russia, they put the surname first. Date of birth, April 30th, 1994. Place, Khabarsk. Krai, which I think means like city? I don't know. And because then it says Khabarsk Krai, Republic, Russia. Let's ask ChatGPT what Krai is. What is Krai? In Russia, Krai is a type of administrative division or region. It is similar to a state or province. Okay, yeah, that's what I figured. Which fact was duly entered into the Book of Birth Registrations this 11th day of May, 1994, under record number 349. So this was 11 days after I was born. This information was entered into the Book of Registrations. On the other side, it says parents. Father. You guys ready? Pryadko Sergey Ivanovich. Nationality, Russian. Mother. Pryadko Natalia Sergeyevna. Nationality, Russian. Date of issue, May 11th. And then it just has like a signature and seal. Okay, so that is the information on who I am, where I was born, who my parents are. But let's take a pause right now and talk about where I was born. Khabarsk, Russia. Ask ChatGPT real quick what they can tell us about Khabarsk. What can you tell about Khabarsk? It's so hard to spell this word. In a brief paragraph. Khabarsk is a vibrant city in the Russian Far East, located at the confluence of the Amur and Ussuri rivers, near the border with China. It serves as the administrative center of Khabarsk Krai and is one of the largest cities in the Russian Far East. Founded in 1858 as a military outpost, Khabarsk has grown into a major industrial, cultural, and transportation hub. It plays a key role in trade with neighboring China and other Asian countries due to its strategic location. The city is known for its beautiful riverfront, parks, and rich history, with a mix of Russian and indigenous cultures. It also has a distinctive blend of Soviet-era architecture and modern buildings reflecting its diverse historical influences. Let's see what they can tell me about orphanages in Khabarsk. Like in other parts of Russia, have historically been part of the state system for caring for... Oh, this is a lot. Still exist in the region, particularly in more rural or remote areas, though urban centers like Khabarsk City have been increased support for family-based solutions. Basically just says it's not really a thing anymore since adoption has changed over there. Foster care has been implemented. There's still some, it says. The region has a number of orphanages as well as children's homes which house and care for children who have been abandoned, orphaned, or removed from unsafe family situations. Let's move on to the next page. It gets more interesting, I promise you guys. So this is like a letter, it looks like. Got a mailing address. I don't know what any of this means. In response to your recent dated by 26.03.1997, number 45472, we inform you that the information pertaining to the adopted child, form blah blah blah, Pryadko Alena Sergeyevna, born on April 30th, 1994, was entered on a centralized list of Federal Data Bank on children left without parental care on October 19th, 1995. Okay, so over a year after I was born, they entered this in. There was no possibility for the children to be adopted by a family residing in the Russian Federation within the time period specified by law. So the time period must have been like over a year for my parents to get their shit together and want me. Wild. Next letter. This is dated April 7th, 1997. So this is a few months after I was adopted. The administration of the Children's House No. 1 of Khabarsk do not object to a child, Pryadko Alena Sergeyevna, born on April 30th, 1994, to be adopted by foreign citizens. And then it says, his mother, it should say her mother, left in the maternity house, and there is no information about the father. The child has stayed in the Children's House No. 1 since January 11th, 1994. That's not true because I wasn't even born yet. Neither relatives nor parents have got interested in her fate or taken part in her upbringing. You can see how the translation there is a little iffy. Statement of information. The Book of Birth Registrations on file of Vital Registration Department under Industrial District Administration, Khabarsk, has a record made May 11th, 1994, so I was a month old, under number 349 to certify the birth of a child, Pryadko Alena Sergeyevna, born on April 30th, 1994. And it gives my parents, mother, Pryadko Natalia Sergeyevna, father, Pryadko Sergey Ivanovich. Data on the father entered as specified by the mother. This was issued May 11th, 1994. This is a fun one. This is titled, Act on Abandonment. This is why I have abandonment issues. This act certifies the citizen Pryadko Natalia Sergeyevna, age 25, on April 30th, 1994, gave birth to a baby with weight of 2,200 kilograms, height of 46 centimeters, in the maternity department of Hospital Number 11, and abandoned the baby. She went away herself from hospital. Her residence, Khabarsk, Vladivostokaya, Street 53, Apartment 9, was written from women's words. There is no information about the child's father. She is married, from words. The woman was registered in hospital without any documents and passport. She have not got interested by the child. The child was sent to the city hospital number 4. Administration of Hospital Number 11 asks to Vital Registration Department under Industrial District Administration, Hvarsk, to register the child with name of Pryadko Alena Sergeyevna. Part of me wonders if, like, the nurses at the hospital named me and not my birth mom because of that sentence right there. Because it says asks to register the child, but I don't know. And then there's a picture of my Russian passports. I'm not going to show that right now. Vaccination form. I'm not going to go into all that right now. And then I think this right here is my actual birth certificate because it's in Russian. Oh, no, this is the adoption certificate. Let me read this real quick. Name, Pryadko Alena Sergeyevna. Date of birth, April 30th, 1994. Place of birth, Hvarsk. Adopted by my parents' names. Name assigned, Laura Alena. So that's the adoption certificate. Here we go. This is the fun one. This is really fun. Got a couple fun ones, actually. Information regarding the child. This was written August 5th, 1996, so I would have been 2 years old. And this was about a year from when I was adopted. Last name. Name. What's interesting is this is written different from what my name was. It's a different form of my name, Alena, they wrote. So they wrote Alena. Here's my name, female, date of birth. Oh, and then after my date of birth, there's a question mark. So that's fun. Nationality, Russian. Currently, girl stays in care of the orphanage number 1 of the city of Hvarsk. She was transferred there from the Municipal Children's Hospital number 9 with the following diagnoses. Perinatal impairment of the CNS, which is the central nervous system. Syndrome of CNS hyperirritability. I get annoyed easily. Syndrome of, I don't know what that word says. It's either, I don't know what it says. Visceral disorders. Hypertension, hydrocephalus syndrome, congenital cardiopathy, anomaly of Corday location in the left ventricle, normochromic anemia, moderately severe form. Anemia, interesting. I got my blood work and I'm not anemic. So that's real interesting. It is known from the perinatal history that the girl was born to a 25-year-old woman with complicated obstetric history. Ready for this? 2 elective abortions. 2 stillborn children. 8th pregnancy, complicated by edema in the first trimester. Recurrence of the chronic pyelonephritis and risk of spontaneous abortion during the second part of pregnancy. I think this is referring to my gestational period. Premature labor on the 30 to 32nd weeks of gestation. So I was premature. Viability assessment according to APGAR at birth, 7 to 8 points. Birth measurements. Weight, 2.200 kilograms, which is 4.84 pounds. Length, 46 centimeters, 18.4 inches. Head circumference, 2.9 centimeters, 11.6 inches. Chest circumference, 27 centimeters, 10.8 inches. Early neonatal period was relatively favorable. There were moderately pronounced signs of CNS hyperirritability. I don't know what that word is. It's like ripato, visceral disorders, signs of I don't know what that word is. Hypotrophia, something growth retardation. Signs became stable later. Child got over the following diseases. Frequent acute respiratory viral infections. Repeated bronchitis with obstructive syndrome. Chickenpox. Repeatedly catarrhal otitis, stomatitis. Results of the laboratory tests. HIV, negative. Something else, negative. Syphilis, negative. Evaluation of the specialist. Neurologist, January 30th, 96. Perinatal encephalopathy, late period of recovery. Syndrome of CNS hyperirritability, minimal manifestations. Syndrome of perimidal insufficiency, secondary, mild delay of the psychomotor development. Orthopedist is not a word. Is it? What is the word? It's not orthopedist, is it? Whatever. This was April 5th, 95, so I was a year. Hip joints dysplasia. Is it flat valgus feet? Because I had that, according to this. Ophthalmologist. Let's see, I was a little over a year, 2 months later. Moderate degree of hypermetropia of both eyes, which, that's very true. I actually had surgery on one of my eyes when I was 6. Control evaluation in 1 year. So that part is true. Current measurements as of, I want to say this is what, 96? 90, yeah, I don't know, 96? 21 pounds, 31 inches. Y'all don't care about head circumference and chest circumference. Hair color, light brown, more close to blonde. Eye color, gray-blue. So this last one is called Award on behalf of Russian Federation. July 8th, 1997. I should note that is my mom's birthday. These USA citizens residing at applied to the above said court with an affidavit about adoption of Pryadko Alena Sergeyevna, born on April 30th, 1994. Pryadko Alena Sergeyevna was entered on a centralized list of the Federal Data Bank of Children left without parental care on October 19th, 1995. So I was over a year old. There was no possibility for the child to be adopted by a family residing in the Russian Federation within the time period specified by law. Pryadko Alena was abandoned by her mother on the Municipal City Hospital No. 11 of Favarsk. Data on the father entered as specified by the mother. It didn't finish the sentence. The girl was directed to the Children's House No. 1. The adoptive parents confirmed they're willing to adopt Alena. They presented medical statements about their health and that they're physically and mentally healthy and can be adoptive parents. And then it gives information about where my parents work and their income. So the representative of the guardianship structures of the Zheleznodorny district explained that my brother and I have stayed in the Children's House No. 1 since, this is so inaccurate, it says since January 2nd, 94 and January 11th, 94. I wasn't even born yet. Mine should be changed to May 11th. Respectively, neither relatives nor parents have got interested in their fate or taken part in their upbringing. The representative said the adoption follows children's interests. But yeah, there you have it. I think all of that was pretty straightforward. So my name at birth, where I'm from, who my parents are. And it does kind of give a lot of information on who my mom was. Like, she was 25 years old. She had all the pregnancy issues. And my question, honestly, why did I end up being, with all the complications she had, I made it through. So a lot of me finds hope in that fact that I'm supposed to be here, because it could have gone so differently. Like, there was high chance of abortion, as the paper says, later in the pregnancy too. And that was like I was her 8th pregnancy. That's wild. 8th pregnancy. Wild. So I wonder what happened to, because it only said, I think there were 2 stillborns, 2 elective abortions, that's 4. So I should have 2, 3 siblings ahead of me that weren't terminated, maybe? Maybe they were probably adopted out, honestly. Based on history. History repeats itself. So this paper, it is known from the perinatal history that the girl was born to a 25-year-old woman with complicated obstetric history, 2 elective abortions, 2 stillborn children, 8th pregnancy, complicated by edema in the first trimester, risk of spontaneous abortion during the second part of pregnancy. Wild. What's an edema? I need to look that up. ChatGPT. What is an edema during pregnancy? Blood clot, maybe? I don't know. Let's see. Increased blood volume. During pregnancy, the body produces more blood and fluids to support the developing baby, which can lead to fluid retention. Oh, that's why it happens. Edema during pregnancy refers to the swelling of certain parts of the body, particularly the feet, ankles, legs, and sometimes hands and face, due to the accumulation of excess fluid in the tissues. It is common, generally harmless condition that many women experience, especially in the later stages of pregnancy. Complicated by edema in the first trimester. Is edema in the first trimester bad? Edema in the first trimester of pregnancy is uncommon and typically not expected. Most women experience edema later in pregnancy, usually during the second or third trimesters. If you experience edema in the first trimester, it could be due to a variety of reasons, but it may warrant attention, particularly if it is unusual, sudden, or severe. Causes: hormonal changes, dehydration, increased blood volume, health conditions. I was a preemie. Not too much of a preemie, though, but I was a preemie. What do you guys think? We learned that I am from an area of Russia that is closer to China. It's on the very, very, very far east of Russia. Very industrialized. It's known for the Trans-Siberian Railway along the Amur River. Fun little facts, right? I think the most interesting piece of information when I first read through all this, was my parents' names. I think that's what I cared most about finding. Did I die though? Finding the information about my mom, which was interesting. She was 25 when she had me. That's a good age to have a child, I feel like. It's not too young, not too old. She was 25. It says she was married. She had the husband's name. Yeah, it just makes me wonder, like, is it a good marriage? Probably not. She didn't give any information on him. So does that mean he didn't know about the pregnancy? But they're married. Marriage doesn't mean you're ready for kids, I guess. Maybe it could be she's trying to protect. Yeah, it's probably an unhealthy marriage. Look at me trying to figure it out. That's the hard thing about being adopted, is like you're always asking these questions. Yeah, I just got to take it as face value. Those were their names. She was 25. It gave her address, and I think I've tried looking up that address before, and I don't think anything showed for it, but I didn't try very hard. And I have tried looking for my parents on social media. I did the Ancestry DNA. I'll have to do an episode on that. There's no matches. There's also like a European or Russian form of Facebook called VK. I've made accounts on that. No luck. I sent my information to somebody that is from Russia. I'm friends with them on Facebook. I sent them my information through an email. Never heard back from them. I know they've had success in finding other adoptees' parents. For some reason, they just kind of dropped the ball with me. I don't know if I was supposed to pay them, but I just never heard back from them after I sent them the email. Don't really know about that. Kind of the first step in all of this is, what's my information? How do I feel about all that? Knowing, you know what, I think finding all this out kind of opened a can of worms for me. Before I knew I was actively abandoned, I don't think I thought about this as much. I just was like, okay, I'm adopted, cool. But when I finally saw that I was actively abandoned by my mom and left at the hospital, intentionally, I think that's kind of screwed with me, for sure. And so that also has led to some definite abandonment issues later in life, which sucks. And that's why I am doing this podcast, because I think I need to talk about this more and build the connection. All right, well, you guys, that was all I was going to cover in this episode. That's me in a nutshell. Alena Sergeyevna Pryadko. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you in the next episode.